What is going on, guys? Happy Wildcard weekend. Welcome. A lot to discuss for the playoffs. Happy Saturday. It's officially Wildcard weekend. We got a lot to go through. A lot of news still coming on the way as well. Still a lot of injuries that we don't quite know about. Browns dealing with a lot of players potentially out. Ravi, how's it going? Good morning, Carter. Hit that like button if you're watching live on YouTube. It's the NFL playoffs, everyone. It's going to be madness. There's going to be some things that we did not possibly expect to happen. It's going great, man. Good morning. Prop pick king. Yeah, we went 6 for 6. 6 for 6 in week 17. Week 17 also usually one of those extremely hard weeks to predict, and we went 6 for 6, wrapping up the season above 67%, back-to-back seasons. Let's cash, Joe. That's what I'm talking about. I'm doing fantastic, man. I'm excited for the playoffs. Ravens versus Bucks Super Bowl, someone projects. I think that those are the two teams that, to me, you can't sleep on in the playoffs. I think that the Ravens and the Bucks have the offensive power to make a run. And in my philosophy in the NFL these days, I very much growing up was a defense wins championships type of person, and I've really changed kind of my mindset on that. I think that in today's NFL, you need an offense in order to make a run in the playoffs, and that's what the Ravens have, and that's what the Bucks have. I think both those teams can make huge runs if they can get through this first round. Yeah, I do like Dobbins today. I like the entire Ravens offense. I think in my bold predictions, if you combine my bold predictions for the Ravens this week, I have them going for like 500 yards. The Titans are not the same defense that they were last season, and they're actually a bottom 5 defense in the NFL. I think Lamar Jackson is going to torch them. I think J.K. Dobbins is going to do very well. So I'm very confident in the Ravens offense, and I'm very confident in the Ravens against the Titans. I'd be really surprised. The Titans are going to need to put up at least 30 points, at least, to be able to keep up with the Ravens in this game. So I'd be pretty surprised if they were able to win this game just with their defense. And right now, Ravens are only 3-point favorites. That game is tomorrow. How's it going, Matt? Happy playoffs, man. I'm happy that DraftKings and FanDuel gave us a 6-game slate. Originally, they only posted 3 games on Sunday, 3 games on Saturday, but now they're letting you play the whole slate of 6 games. Still going live for the playoffs, man. And hit that like button if you're watching live on YouTube. We're talking some playoffs. My early predictions for all these games, I'll go through game by game really quickly, just kind of what I'm thinking. The Colts versus the Bills. I would be absolutely shocked if the Bills lose this game. They have the best offense in the NFL right now, and I don't see them slowing down. I think the Colts' best chance to win this game is to slow the game down as much as possible and try to force the Buffalo Bills to run. Don't let the Buffalo Bills pass. If the Bills are able to pass in this game like they want to be, this game's not even going to be close. If the Colts really lay off the run and protect the pass, I think that's their best chance to win, but I'd be pretty surprised if they do. The Bills' defense has actually been better than the Colts' defense also over the last two months. So the Bills really are. I think the spread is pretty good, 7-point spread. I don't think you can put any money against the Bills in this game. The Rams versus the Seahawks, this is one of those games that I have zero confidence really about. The Seahawks are such a tough team to project because if they let Russell Wilson throw the ball, they're significantly better, but they consistently don't do that. So it's a really hard team to project. I do think the Seahawks should win this game. I think Chris Carson's probably the most underrated player in this game. I really like the value on Chris Carson in DFS, DraftKings, FanDuel, and in terms of player props. Colts win 27-24. That's a prediction from someone. I don't see the Colts. I don't see the Bills scoring less than 30 points. I'd be really surprised if they score less than 30 points. Then the last game of the day today is the Buccaneers versus the Washington football team. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense is been cooking over the last month, one of the best offenses in the NFL. And Tom Brady is, if he is playoff Tom Brady, I legitimately think they have a chance to win the Super Bowl. And those of you who know the way I bet on the NFL, I almost only exclusively bet on player props. We've had over 67.5% accuracy on over 200 picks. And I built an algorithm named Walter in the WalterPicks app on the iOS App Store that's really had exploitable player prop picks for us the last 2 seasons. And so I've really only bet my money on that. But I always do bet on a couple futures every season. The only future I bet on this season was the Jets under 7 wins. But I also made 2 future bets that I want to tell you about in these playoffs. And those 2 future bets, I saw value in the odds to win the Super Bowl. And those 2 bets, I put 50 on each of these, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to win the Super Bowl and the Baltimore Ravens to win the Super Bowl. I think both of these teams, if they get past the first round, which I expect them to do, those odds are going to change drastically, especially if they have big offensive days like I think they can have. If Philip Rivers throws more than 40 times, Colts lose no matter what, in my opinion. Yeah, Matt, I think that's a pretty good take. I think that they need to be able to grind the ball. I think they need to have these long, slow drives. The less and less plays that happen in this game, the better for the Colts. And I think that they really just need to do everything they possibly can to stop the passing attack of the Bills and try to make them beat them on the ground. Yeah, the football team. So the Bucs versus Washington football team. Right now, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 9.5-point favorites. The line keeps moving. It started around 8, I think, at the beginning of this week. And the issue for the Washington football team is not the defense. They have a top 5 defense in the NFL really throughout the whole season. Their defense is very good. Their secondary, top 5 in the NFL. Their defensive line, also top 5 in the NFL. The issue is the offense. And I actually don't think Alex Smith being out affects them that much. He hasn't been great this season. Who knows what we're getting with Taylor Heineke, but the offense is going to struggle. And it's tough to see a scenario where that offense is able to score over 21 points. And the Buccaneers are almost definitely going to score at least 21 points. So that is the biggest spread of today is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Washington football team. That defense is going to have to do very, very well. Alex Smith is not confirmed out yet, but it sounds like it's trending in that direction. And so in the WalterPicks app right now, we do have Heineke projected for points and Alex Smith projected for 0. That, of course, will change once we get the official update. We won't get official injury news about each of these games till 90 minutes before kickoff. Are the Bills going to dub? Yeah, I do think the Bills are going to win. You know what? Just put me in a QB for the Washington football team, Jaden. I do think that is essentially where they're at. Tyler Heineke, by the way, was literally finishing online college like a month ago. He was taking finals to graduate. I think it was Old Dominion University or Old Dominion College. And then he gets a call, and now he's likely starting in a playoff game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, against Tom Brady, who, by the way, reports coming out, Tom Brady is going to be returning next season. Let's talk a little bit about the games tomorrow, though. Yeah, we will be giving away a free player prop pick today on this stream before the kickoff, as long as we get to 100 likes on this YouTube stream. So if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, come on over to YouTube. If you're watching live on TikTok, if you're watching live on YouTube, hit that like button at 100 likes. I got a free player prop for you all. There's no free player props right now available in the WalterPicks app. All of these are just for our premium subscribers. But if we get to 100 likes, in this YouTube stream, I will give away a free player prop pick. Do you think Jonathan Taylor will get a touchdown? Yeah, I do. I think he has like 6 touchdowns in the last 4 games or something along those lines. But let's talk a little bit about these games tomorrow. I honestly think the games tomorrow are at least as, if not more, exciting than the games today. I'm very excited for the Ravens-Titans game. The team I'm probably most confident in than any other team playing this week, especially with this close of a spread, only a 3-point favorite Baltimore Ravens team. I would be shocked if the Ravens don't win this game. I think that their offense is significantly better than the Titans' offense, and I think that the defense is leagues like way better than the Tennessee Titans defense. The Titans defense is not the same defense that stopped Lamar Jackson in the playoffs last season. And I think we're going to see that on full display. I think Lamar Jackson's going to have a fantastic game. He's going to end the stigma of him being able to do nothing in the playoffs. The Bears versus the Saints. That is the biggest spread of the game of the weekend. 10.5-point favorites, New Orleans Saints. And for good reason. I mean, they have a very, very good run defense. The Bears' strength over the last 2 months has been their rushing attack. And the Saints' offense has been able to move the ball. Michael Thomas projected to be back. Alvin Kamara projected to be back. They really should be at full strength. And so it'd be shocking. That would be the biggest upset of the weekend if the Bears are able to upset the Saints. But we do know the Saints have this playoff curse on them, so maybe that can happen. The Browns versus the Steelers. I actually liked the Browns to upset the Steelers, but with the COVID situation that they're dealing with, it would be pretty shocking if they were able to beat the Steelers at this point. They're dealing with chaos. They've practiced once over the last 2 weeks. They have a lot of defensive and offensive line starters that are going to be out in this game. We don't know exactly who's in and who's out yet because that game's tomorrow night, but it's going to be an uphill battle for them to be able to do this. Would you rather have a player who has 12 targets per game but 6 yards per target, or a player who gets 8 targets per game and 11 yards per target? If we're talking about in the NFL, definitely the more efficient 11 yards per target. Interesting question there, Jordan. My Super Bowl favorites. I still have the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl. I do think that the Chiefs are the clear favorite, and for very good reason. But I also think that the best value, if you're going to bet on who's going to win the Super Bowl, my two favorite values are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, because if playoff Brady shows up, they have a very real chance to make a run, especially in that NFC. I think the Bucs, the Saints, and the Packers, all three of those teams have a very legit shot to come out of the NFC. And then in the AFC, I like the Ravens as a good sleeper. They're going to have to go through two very good teams, but they have an offense that can do it and a defense that is actually pretty talented. So I do think that the Ravens have a chance. And it's extremely hard, Matt, to go back-to-back seasons with the Super Bowl. It's one of the hardest things in professional sports. It's an extremely high-variance game, but the Chiefs are relatively healthy. They've had a lot of close games. Like the Chiefs' offense hasn't been as good as the Bills' offense over the last 2 months, but they're still the favorites to win the Super Bowl because none of us are going to be surprised when they flip that switch and all of a sudden they're the best offense in the NFL again. I think the Titans are an interesting team because they've had a actually top 5 efficient offense in the NFL as well over the last 2 months. And the Tennessee Titans, Baltimore Ravens game to me has the most intrigue for being a complete shootout. Like I'm still actually in a fantasy league, and it's a season-long DraftKings fantasy league where you make a new DraftKings lineup every single week. And I'm in the final 4 out of 64 teams in this league. And the first place gets $4,000. So I'm still in it. And I have to make a head-to-head lineup every single week. And I have a lot of Baltimore Ravens and Tennessee Titans in my lineup in that league this week because that game has such a high upside for so many points that I think you really got to be stacking around that game. How do you think Taylor's rush yards will compare to Derrick Henry's rush yards? Yeah, that'll be interesting. The issue with Derrick Henry for me this week is, I think that the Baltimore Ravens offense is going to do very, very well. Derrick Henry's still going to get his 20 carries. But if they fall behind, I think Derrick Henry could be less involved than usual in this game. So I think I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Jonathan Taylor ends up with more rushing yards. Tazi, good morning, man. Happy Saturday. Happy NFL playoffs, man. Who are you liking today? Bills cover 7. Yeah, I don't think you can risk any money against the Buffalo Bills. I also don't think you should be risking any money against the Baltimore Ravens. Bills and Bucks. Yeah, I agree. I think that I would be really, really surprised if the Buccaneers lost. It's going to take a very, very impressive upset from the Washington football team. If I had to pick an upset for this week, and there's going to be an upset, at least one. There always is. And it's going to be something that is extremely hard to predict. I am most confident. I'll go in order of who I'm most confident in winning this weekend. I'd say I'm most confident, and this is not what the spreads would suggest, but I'm most confident in the Baltimore Ravens beating the Tennessee Titans. I'm also extremely confident that the Buffalo Bills are going to beat the Indianapolis Colts. The Buccaneers-Washington game, I think, is either going to be a complete blowout where the Buccaneers win by at least like 15 points, or it's going to be extremely close and the Washington football team upsets the Buccaneers. The Seahawks-Rams game for me is one of the hardest to project, but I still don't feel very confident the Rams have what it takes to beat the Seahawks just with what they're dealing with at quarterback, even with or without Jared Goff. I don't have very much faith in that offense. I think my favorite upset is probably the Browns, but the Browns are frustrating because they have such a horrible COVID situation going on. We don't really know how many starters they're going to be without. So I would rank in terms of what I think is going to be an upset. I like the Browns to upset the Steelers. I think that the Rams have a very legit shot to upset the Seahawks, but I'm not in love with that one. In terms of value, it's probably the Washington football team if their defense can stand up and Taylor Heineke can have a historic day. But I don't think the Titans are going to upset the Ravens, and I'd be shocked if the Bears upset the Saints as well. Any value in making a Heineke DFS lineup? No, I don't think so. I really think I think if you're making a DFS lineup, the quarterbacks you should be playing around, they're Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and then I think you can make the case for Phillip Rivers if you're going for value. Dude, you are fire with the props. Got one for this week. Yeah, when we hit 100 likes on my YouTube live stream, we're a fourth of the way there. We got 25 likes right now, so hit that like button if you're watching live on YouTube. I will be giving away another free player prop. We have had over 85% accuracy giving away free player props this season on this live stream. What bets are you making today, Max? I bet on every single one of the player props that are available in the WalterPicks app on the iOS App Store. We got 5 props today, feeling very good about all of them. And so I bet on every single one of those. I also made 2 future bets at the beginning of, I think it was yesterday morning. I made 2 futures on who's going to win the Super Bowl and who's going to win the AFC and NFC conferences, just based on the value of these teams. That was the Baltimore Ravens and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think both those offenses, and when I'm betting on teams, which I rarely do, I almost only bet on players and player prop picks. But when I'm betting on teams, I'm betting on offense. I think that offense in today's NFL is by far what's most predictive of NFL success. And the Baltimore Ravens and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, to me, have the chance to just go on absolute tear on the offensive side of the ball over their next 4 games and make it to the Super Bowl. So that's why I went with those 2 teams at their value. I think it was like $50 to win something like $500. When are you going to start looking at drafts for the next fantasy football season? Way too soon, man. I'm going to be looking at it, I promise you, way too soon. Like within probably the next month, you'll see me talking about next fantasy football season. It's going to be way, way too soon. What's your DFS lineup for this weekend? Yeah, so again, you heard me mention I have a chance at $4,000 in a DraftKings league this weekend. And in that lineup, I'm stacking Lamar Jackson with Mark Andrews. And Mark Andrews, like Logan Thomas is an interesting tight end if you aren't going with Mark Andrews, but they're only at a $300 difference on DraftKings. So I think you kind of have to play Mark Andrews. He's in a tier of his own with no Travis Kelce on the slate, no George Kittle, no Darren Waller. Mark Andrews is on a tier of his own in this slate. So I think you have to play Mark Andrews at tight end. If you don't play Mark Andrews at tight end, I think you have to pay way, 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 way down for a guy like Jonnu Smith, who's like half the price. Otherwise, you got to go with Mark Andrews. I went with Mark Andrews in all of my DraftKings lineups. I also, against Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews, I'm stacking against them A.J. Brown, who is going to – it's the perfect stack against the offensive side of the Ravens in DFS. A.J. Brown's been an absolute beast this season. He's also been the most profitable player that Walter has identified this season. Walter has identified A.J. Brown's prop 7 times this season. He's been correct about him 6. So we're 6 for 7 projecting blow-up games from A.J. Brown. By the way, his jersey is actually on the way. I already ordered his jersey. He essentially paid for his jersey himself. Do you think Bills will win by 7? Yeah, I do think the Bills are going to win by 7+. Seahawks or the Rams. I like the Seahawks to win that game, but that's one of those games that could definitely go either way. Who will be better, DK or Lockett? I mean, we've kind of seen this game play out, and Lockett's kind of benefited from Ramsey being on DK Metcalf. So I won't be surprised at all if we see Tyler Lockett outperform DK Metcalf. He's over under of yards is actually above DK Metcalf today. What does the lock symbol mean in the prop section of the WalterPicks app? It means it's a lock. It means that Walter's extremely confident in that prop. It means it's slightly more confident in that prop than the other props. That's what a lock means. It's a lock. It means you can lock it in. That's what the lock symbol means. Seahawks or Rams? I think that the Seahawks are going to win, but it's definitely going to be close. What Steelers receiver is getting the ball? I all season long, and I think this has actually been one of the things I've been most right about this season throughout the year. Yeah, Max, we will be giving away a free player prop pick. Come back closer to the game. Go like that YouTube stream. When we get to 100 likes on this YouTube live, we're a third of the way there already. Hit that like button on YouTube. And when we get to 100 likes, we will be giving away another free player prop pick. But back to what I was saying, the Deontay Johnson has been the number 1 receiver for the Steelers this season. If you're really looking at the numbers, he's had over 20% target share in every single healthy game that he's played. He's really been the go-to target for Big Ben throughout the whole season. So I do think that Deontay Johnson is the receiver you can be most confident in today. I think there's any guys that opted out this year that we should look out for next year. Yeah, Marcus, there's a bunch, and we're definitely going to be talking about that. But one guy that I'm really interested to see what happens with is Damian Williams with the Kansas City Chiefs and how his role is going to look with Clyde Edwards-Helaire next season. Damian Williams, remember, was the go-to guy in that backfield in the Super Bowl. He played very, very well. So I don't think he's going to not be involved next season. What are the locks for today? I think you can lock in the Buffalo Bills offense just in general. I would be very surprised if they don't continue to do very, very well. I also would be locking in the free player prop that we're going to be giving away on this live stream. Once we hit 100 likes on this YouTube live, we're over a third of the way there now. So go to the YouTube live stream, WalterPicks on YouTube. It's also linked in our TikTok bio. Hit that like button. You think the Saints will win it all? No, I don't think the Saints will win it all, but they definitely have a chance. Super Bowl prediction. Yeah, I think that the favorites are correct. The Kansas City Chiefs versus the Green Bay Packers. That's the favorite. But if we're talking a little bit out of the norm, and I do think the Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl, I think that their offense just keeps them in every single game. Like there's not a single game. And this is what I was saying really for the past couple of months. Like even though the Chiefs have had some close games, if you actually go back and watch those games, they never really were going to lose. Like their offense was so good that you never had doubt that they were going to actually lose the game. Because if it came down to a one score, like they just need to score once and the end of the game, they're going to do that. And so the Kansas City Chiefs are going they're never out of the game with that offense. We saw it in that Houston Texans playoff game last year. They were down by like 30 points and they ended up winning by 2 scores. That's what the Chiefs offense gives you. And so that's why I still think the Chiefs are the clear favorite. But if the Chiefs don't win the Super Bowl and the Packers don't make the Super Bowl, my favorite sleeper picks, it's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and it's the Baltimore Ravens. I think both those offenses they started to heat up right at the right time. And if they can stay hot over the next 4 games, they have a very legit chance. Yeah, everyone on this TikTok live, go like the YouTube stream. We're only 60 likes away, and then we can give away the free prop pick of the day. We can all cash in, and we're going to have a lot of fun. And the prop is in the first game of the day, this Colts versus Bills game. So we can all be excited, even more excited for this first playoff game. JT over under 18 and Diggs over under 19. I bet Jonathan Taylor goes over 18, and I won't be surprised if Diggs goes under 19. My day's going great, man. I'm pumped for the NFL playoffs. Is Donovan People-Jones a startable flex next year? It'll be interesting. We'll see what the receiver situation is between Odell, Jarvis, and Donovan People-Jones. But if he's the number 3 receiver on the team, no, he's not going to be a startable flex because it's a run-first team. I think if Colts beats the Bills, they could go further. Yeah, I mean, if the Colts beat the Bills, that would be a huge, huge upset. And this is by the way, any team has a chance to win this weekend, guys. It's the wild card weekend. Anything can happen. There is, I'm probably less like, don't take what I'm saying as absolute certainty because everything is in a range of outcomes in the NFL. Everything in fantasy football is about a range of outcomes. And the range of outcomes for these games is very, very wide. I would be shocked if the Bills don't beat the Colts. But the Colts have a chance. And I think that there's one thing they need to do to win this game. There are really 2 things. They need to, on the offensive side of the ball, they need to slow the game down as much as possible. Increase the variance of the game by giving the Buffalo Bills as few offensive plays as possible. That on the offensive side of the ball, they need to help their defense by slowing the game down, giving the ball to Jonathan Taylor, and trying to grind out like 10-plus minute drives. On the defensive side of the ball, they need to stop the pass. They need to encourage the Buffalo Bills to run the ball. And if they can encourage the Buffalo Bills to run the ball, that's their best chance of winning. If they're letting the Bills pass on them, it's not going to go well. It's really, really not going to go well. The Bills are the best offense in the NFL over the last 2 months. The best. Hello, Walter. My name's actually not Walter. Classic mistake. My name is Sam. I built an artificially intelligent algorithm. His name is Walter. You can find his projections in the WalterPicks app on the iOS App Store. By the way, our projections, back-to-back seasons now, in live projections, more accurate than ESPN and Yahoo. Very excited to announce that. I'm pumped for McVay versus Carroll, Vrabel versus Harbaugh this weekend. Yeah, Matt, I'm pumped for that too. And I'm glad you found your way to YouTube because YouTube, I know you would like the YouTube experience a little bit more. But yeah, I'm very excited for all these games, really. Do you like Russell Wilson rushing for 23 yards? Won't shock me at all if he rushes for 23 yards in playoff mode. Should I start Kanye? Hero, yeah. Is the Bills a good or bad run defense? The Bills' running defense has not been all that great this season. If we pull up the rankings here, I'll pull these up for us. The Buffalo Bills, I believe, have had a better rush defense than pass defense. Let me pull this up. What's your DFS lineup like? Yeah, again, I'm stacking. I'm in a head-to-head contest this week for the chance at $4,000. I've been playing in this league all season. There are 64 teams. I'm one of 4 remaining, and in this lineup, I'm stacking Lamar Jackson with Mark Andrews. I think that's the highest upside stack on the slate. And then against that stack, I'm going with AJ Brown at the running back slots. I think 2 great values at running back this week. If you're not going with Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb, Jonathan Taylor, Alvin Kamara, like those are the 4 guys that are the safest. But I think that Chris Carson and Cam Akers are actually the best value running backs on the DFS slate on DraftKings and on FanDuel. Chris Carson is one of the more underrated running backs in the NFL. People don't quite realize how good he's been because of the injuries he's had and because Russell Wilson gets all of the attention. Chris Carson, guys, he's averaging over 65 yards a game if we look at games where he was healthy the entire time. And Cam Akers just saw 25 carries, 25 touches, I believe in week 17. He's going to be the focal point of this Rams offense. He's going to touch the ball a lot for a pretty cheap price. I won't be surprised at all if Chris Carson goes for a TD today. And going back to the Buffalo Bills defense, if we look at the Bills defense, they've been one of they've been a bottom 10 run defense this season. They've also been a bottom 20 pass defense. So their run defense has been worse than their passing defense. You won your championship. That's what I'm talking about. Tom Brady over 2.5 TDs. Yeah, most likely. But the offense of the Bucs is up against a very, very good defense. Top 5 defense in the NFL. How many yards will Taylor get today? Probably at least 80. Cam Akers or Rojo for DFS. I like Cam Akers more than Ronald Jones because of the matchup. Ronald Jones is up against a really, really good defense. How many likes are you at? We're halfway there. We're at 50 likes right now. So come over to YouTube, hit that like button, and we will be giving away a free player prop pick right on this stream before kickoff for that 1 o'clock game, one that I'm very, very excited about, and one that I have a lot of money personally risked on, and I'm very excited for that one. What's your prop pick for today? Once we get to 100 likes on that YouTube stream, I will be giving away another free player prop. Any more player props this week other than those on the app? No, Nicholas, just the ones on the app are the ones that I am all in on today, and we only give out the ones that we're most confident in. Is J-Rob with Lawrence a top 5 pick next year? Yeah. He's not going to be a top 5 pick. That's the exciting part about James Robinson next year in fantasy football. He's not going to be a top 5 pick. You're going to get him still in like rounds 2 or 3, even with Trevor Lawrence there. It's going to be super exciting. Input on Kamara. Yeah, Alvin Kamara has the highest upside of any running back that's playing this weekend. The last time he played, he scored 6 touchdowns. Can you say the teams that you think will win today? Yeah. So if we're going through the games today, I think that the Buffalo Bills are going to handle the Indianapolis Colts. To me, the only chance that the Colts have to win this game is if they are able to slow the game down on offense while also forcing the Bills to run the ball on defense. Like they need the Bills to have to run the ball to beat them. If they let the Bills throw the ball all over them, then it's going to be a very, very tough day for them. So I think that both those things are going to be very hard to do for the Indianapolis Colts. I like the Bills -7. I don't think you should be risking a single penny against the Buffalo Bills, but anything can happen. I'm taking the Bills in that game. Los Angeles Rams versus the Seattle Seahawks. This is the game I'm least confident about today. Who knows what Seahawks team we're going to see? Are we going to see the Seattle Seahawks team that is going to put the ball in Russell Wilson's hand and let him cook? Because if that's what they do, they're going to win. If they put the ball in Russell Wilson's hands in this game, they're going to win the game. If they don't do that and they instead do their normal attack of just grinding the ball on the ground and giving the Rams a chance to stay in this game, then I think the game can go either way. It'll be interesting to see what happens at quarterback for the Los Angeles Rams. That report has not come out yet, so we do not know who's starting at quarterback for them. But I do think that the Rams have a chance to make an upset in this game. And I expect on the offensive side of the ball for the Rams, Cam Akers to touch the ball more than any other player in that offense. As a Saints fan, I want the Colts to win because the Bills are a good team and I don't want to have to face them. Yeah, that makes sense. I do think if you are anyone that is in the NFL playoffs and a fan of any team, you're hoping the Bills lose because the Bills have a chance to beat any team. That's how good their offense is. Cole Beasley at 5,300 in DFS. Yeah, guys, Cole Beasley, his over-under is like 60 yards. He's been right around 60 yards a game with Josh Allen. The tough part about the Bills passing attack for me this weekend is that John Brown is back. And I do think that has implications for the whole offense. It'll be really interesting to see how the targets are distributed in that offense. I'll be watching that extremely closely because John Brown looked healthy last week. They played him a lot in week 17. And if he is healthy, that could take away some volume from Cole Beasley. They play very different roles in the offense, but they're still both receivers in the offense. So I still think Cole Beasley is a pretty good value if he does play. By the way, he's questionable. Predictions for tomorrow. I like the Ravens as my team I'm most confident in tomorrow. The Chicago Bears versus Saints is the biggest spread of the week. Could be pretty surprising if the Saints lost that one. And the Browns versus the Steelers, to me, I think the Browns have a very real chance to upset the Steelers. They're probably my favorite upset of the weekend. Had they not had all these injuries in this COVID outbreak, who knows who's actually going to be playing tomorrow night. But the Browns are up against the Steelers offense that has looked horrible in their last 5 games. 4 of their last 5 games, they've looked absolutely atrocious. Really, since that Bengals game, they have looked horrible. And if we see Big Ben struggle in this game, then I think the Browns have a chance. But the Browns are also probably going to be out with 2 of their top 3 corners. Kupp or Hollywood Brown, I'd probably lean towards Kupp. Can't wait for that Walters keeper league next year. Yeah, Julian, I'm excited. On FanDuel, would you rather start Carson and Lockett or Metcalf and Rojo? I'd probably lean Carson and Lockett. That Colts game, they've looked great. Yeah, the Colts have looked pretty good, and their running attack has been very good. Guys, Jonathan Taylor, no player is averaging more yards per game than Jonathan Taylor since week 11, except for Derrick Henry. Jonathan Taylor's been the second best running back in the NFL, other than Derrick Henry. Like, he's right behind Derrick Henry in yards per game, over 100 yards per game. Since week 11, Jonathan Taylor, he from weeks 1 to 10, Jonathan Taylor was one of the biggest busts of a rookie in this season. People were close to dropping him in fantasy football. That's how bad he was doing. And then since week 11, he ended up being a fantasy football league winner, and he's been one of the best running backs since week 11. He's going to be a first-round pick in fantasy football next season, which is just wild thinking about what he was in the first 10 weeks of the season. So that'll be fun to watch today. For DK, would you rather have Taylor and Akers or Akers and value running back like Jones? I'd rather Taylor and Akers. The lowest I'm willing to go at running back is Akers and Chris Carson on DraftKings. Akers and Chris Carson or above for me if we're talking running backs on DFS. Free player prop. Yeah, if you want to help get the free player prop, come on over to the YouTube stream, hit that like button. We are only 40 likes away. So if every single person listening right now just goes hits that like button on YouTube, we can all enjoy the free player prop pick of the day. I'm very excited to share it with you all. I think we're going to get there. We still have about an hour till kickoff, so we're well on our way to hitting that 100th like. Niners playoff next year. Yeah, the Niners are probably going to be one of the big bounce back candidates next season. They dealt with a ton of injuries this year. The Buffalo Bills line, by the way, I've seen it move as low as 6, and I think it started at 7. It's kind of settling in at 6.5 now. They're 6.5-point favorites. Hey, man, how are you? I went 0-2 in my championships. CB Fishing. So close, but so far. We're going to get him next year. Don't worry. Free prop pick. Yeah, we will have a free prop pick once we hit 100 likes on this YouTube stream. We're 35 likes away, so hit that like button. Really do appreciate it. And if you're watching live on YouTube, guys, hit that subscribe button too. Really do appreciate that. Does the football team have a chance to win? Guys, every single team that is playing, starting today and finishing tomorrow, has a chance to win. This is the NFL playoffs. Anything can happen. But I don't think it's very likely that the Washington football team beats the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, especially if playoff Tom Brady shows up. To me, there's 2 outcomes in this Tampa Bay Buccaneers game. It's either the Bucs completely blow out Washington football team and they get an early lead. Washington has to throw the ball and it just turns into a mess. The Bucs defense is good, by the way. They're a good defense. So I think that game could get out of hand very quickly. The alternative is the Washington football team defense really stands up, makes it very, very hard for Tom Brady and the Bucs offense, and it ends up being a close game. I think it's either going to be the Washington football team sneak out a win or the Bucs just destroy them. Who do you think is going to win today? Kim, my picks to win today. Buffalo Bills. I like the Seahawks, but I think that game could go either way. To me, that game is a complete toss-up. It depends what type of Seahawks team we see. Are we going to see the Seahawks offense put the ball in Russell Wilson's hands, or are we not going to see them do that? If they do that, if they do give the ball to Russell Wilson and let Russ cook, then they're going to win. If they don't do that, then I think it's anyone's game. Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Washington football team. I like the Bucs in that game, but I do think that there is a range of outcome where the Washington football team defense plays out of their minds. They're top 5 defense. They are a very, very good defense. Who do you like at 5,000 or below wide receiver in DFS, it's tough to find the value players in only 6 games. Yeah, it is a tough slate when we're looking at value players with only 6 games going on. I think that the receiver that I probably like the most under 5,000 is John Brown, because you're getting a piece of this Buffalo Bills offense and the upside of that offense at 4,700 on DraftKings. So yeah, and someone just asked, Mark, yeah, I do like John Brown today. John Brown was doing very, very well before he was injured, and he does have upside. Like the type of player that John Brown is, he only needs a couple catches to go over 60 yards. That's the type of player John Brown is. So I do like him. In DFS, I think the upside is there, tethered to Josh Allen. Yeah, it won't surprise me at all. Josh Allen throws 3+ TDs. He's done that many, many times in the last 2 months. Yeah, Lamar Jackson over 1.5 passing touchdowns. Lamar Jackson over 1.5 passing touchdowns has been a prop that line has not changed like over the last 2 months. And if you had bet on that in each of the last, I think, 6 games, you would have won like 4 times. It's been one of the most profitable props of the last couple of months, and it's always been plus odds too, which is crazy. The Bears are in the playoffs. Alex, good to see you, man. Yeah, the Bears are in the playoffs, which is really, really amazing. And if Mitch Trubisky is able to win a playoff game, I mean, he's essentially guaranteed he's back for next season as the starter. And I don't think this is like, I think that Bears fans have reason to be happy, but I actually think how their season has finished is not a good thing for the Bears. It's just going to keep them in this Mitch Trubisky era for even longer. Mitch Trubisky is not good enough to win a Super Bowl. The defense they have is not good enough to win a Super Bowl with Mitch Trubisky. I think they're just they're kind of in this purgatory of NFL success where they keep talking themselves into a horrible draft pick of Mitch Trubisky. Sam props equal profit. You the man. Yeah, thanks, Ryan. Yeah, we've had over 67% accuracy on over 200 picks. Like, I don't think people really quite realize how insane of a percentage that is when we're talking about sports betting. 67% on over 200 picks dating back to the beginning of last season. And it's really not me. It's an artificially intelligent algorithm. It's math that we're using to exploit this new bet called player props that have really not been around for very long and that the books are not paying very much attention to at the time being. Bills beating Chiefs. That will be a very fun game. I think every NFL fan deserves to watch that game. Most likely upset of the weekend. Yeah, the most likely upset of the weekend, it's the Rams or it's the Titans. But I'm pretty confident in the Baltimore Ravens. So I guess the Rams are the most likely upset of the weekend. Most likely lock of the weekend. Yeah, I'd be really surprised if the Bills or the Ravens lost. I think the Bills and the Ravens have a very legit shot at winning the Super Bowl. Guys, we're less than 30 likes away on this YouTube stream. Hit that like button. Who's going to be that 75th like? When we get to 100 likes on this stream, I will be sharing a free player prop pick of the day. Yeah, professional sports bettors, they have a 60% accuracy. So maybe. So yeah, 67% is absolutely insane. We probably, being real, we probably should be charging more for the WalterPicks subscription, but I want everyone to be dominating the sports books. Titans will beat the Ravens. Yeah, that's going to be it's only a 3-point spread, and the Titans have a top 5 efficient offense over the last couple of months, but the defense of the Titans, I feel like people, when they saw this Titans-Ravens matchup, they think back to the last NFL playoffs where the Titans really were able to shut down Lamar Jackson. That was a completely different defense. This Titans defense has been bottom 5 in the NFL. They're not going to be able to stop the Ravens offense, which means the Titans offense is going to need at least 30 points. I see that game being the highest scoring game of the week. See that Patriots flag? Are you from Mass? Yeah, I'm in Boston right now. All my homies hate the Ravens. Then bet against them. Titans versus Ravens will be a great game. Yeah, honestly, it's probably the most exciting game this weekend. But I am very excited for this first game as well. Indianapolis Colts versus the Buffalo Bills. Titans' run D is not bad, though. It's their passing defense. Yeah, it is their passing defense. Their passing defense is their big weakness. And Lamar Jackson has been passing just fine over the last couple of weeks. So I think that the passing attack for the Ravens is going to do fine. Who's going to overperform the most today? I would probably say that the team most likely to overperform today is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I won't be surprised. That game is a 9.5 point spread. They could very easily win that game by 20 plus points. Yeah, we have a DraftKings and FanDuel lineup optimizer in our WalterPicks app that uses our artificially intelligent projections from Walter, and then it leverages something called linear programming. It takes all the players you like the most for DraftKings and FanDuel. You hit optimize and it'll spit out the 5 best lineups with those players. So yeah, that's what we're using to dominate on DraftKings and FanDuel. First touchdown score, Colts or Bills. Yeah, this is a horrible bet to make, but it's a really fun one. Like in terms of trying to make money, sports betting, you shouldn't bet on the first touchdown. They're giving you horrible, horrible odds. But it is a fun one, and I have done that in the past. And if you're going on first touchdown score in the Bills versus the Colts, I'd probably like the value the most with either Jonathan Taylor or Josh Allen rushing touchdown. I think those are probably the two I would go with. Favorite DFS plays for today and tomorrow. Yeah, there's a lot of guys I like in DFS. My favorite value running backs, it's Cam Akers and it's Chris Carson. I think that both those guys are going to see 20-plus touches of the football at a very reasonable price on DraftKings and on FanDuel. If we're talking about receivers, I think you got to get A.J. Brown into your lineup stacked against Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews. A.J. Brown has been a beast this season. A.J. Brown is a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL. And again, I think that game is going to be the highest scoring game of the week. I think the Ravens offense is going to torch the Titans defense. And in response, the Titans offense is going to have to throw the ball more than they usually do. And I think A.J. Brown's going to benefit from that. So I like him a lot this weekend as well. Which player is going to overperform the most today? Probably Chris Carson. If I had to guess one player, I would say that Chris Carson is just the most underrated player heading into today, based on where I'm seeing his projections come in, where I see the player prop line at. Chris Carson, guys, is really being overlooked in this Saints in this Seahawks offense. How good will Josh Allen be in fantasy drafts? Yeah, he's going to be picked way too early next season. And so I won't be having any Josh Allen. I had a bunch of him this season because he was drafted really late, and I traded him in most of my leagues because you could just go pick up Justin Herbert for free, and then you were getting like 80% of the Josh Allen production for completely free. So don't draft quarterbacks early in fantasy football. We, every single season, have been able to get quarterbacks for extremely cheap. Next season, we're going to be drafting Tua in the last round. We're going to be drafting Trevor Lawrence late in drafts. And then we're going to see on the waiver wire players pop up that end up being top 5 quarterbacks, just like we saw this season with Justin Herbert. And we even were able to play Ryan Fitzpatrick for like the first month of the season, and he was getting 20-plus fantasy points per game. So stop drafting quarterbacks early. Even though we see these quarterbacks doing really, really well, there's always free quarterbacks in fantasy that give you similar types of production. What are your thoughts on Cole Beasley making second All-Pro team? Yeah, I think that was a little ridiculous. Josh Allen throwing 4+ touchdowns? Lauren, definitely possible. If A.J. Brown is a top 10 wide receiver, where would you put DK and McLaren? Yeah, listen, I made a YouTube video. It's on YouTube of my top 10 receivers. I think it was about a month to 2 months ago. And you can go see that. And you'll notice that I left DK Metcalf outside the top 10. And I think I've come around to having him inside my top 10 at this point. But I do think A.J. Brown is a guy that I think has proved more than DK Metcalf has so far in their careers. DK Metcalf or Tyler Lockett today. I like Lockett. Sam, what's the football team sack prop? I'm not sure. Let's see if I can find that. I don't usually get those lines, but maybe in the playoffs they have it. Will the fans in Buffalo be a factor? Probably not. I don't think they're at a reasonable capacity to have too much of an impact. We are 25 likes away, guys, on the YouTube live stream from giving away a free player prop pick. So go like that YouTube live stream, hit that like button. Who's going to be that 75th like? Then I will be giving away a free player prop pick. What sports book do you use? Matt Zessi, Dobbins. Yeah, I think Dobbins is going to do fantastic today, Matt. I mean, I think that not today, tomorrow. I think that whole Ravens offense is a good bet this weekend against a really, really bad Titans defense. And the Titans secondary has been the weakness of their defense, but their run defense actually hasn't been that great either. Who you got in the Super Bowl? I think that the Chiefs are going to win it all. I still think that's the case. But if the Chiefs don't win it all, and I think that in the NFC side, it's going to be the Packers, it's going to be the Saints. I think those two teams, along with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, it's going to be one of those 3 teams in the NFC. I would rank them in that order in terms of confidence of who's going to make it. On the AFC side, it's going to be the Chiefs. If it's not the Chiefs, I think it's either going to be the Bills or the Ravens. Out of those 6 teams, I would be surprised if 2 of those 6 teams are not in the Super Bowl. Again, on the NFC side, it's probably going to be the Packers. But if it's not the Packers, it's probably going to be the Saints. And if it's not the Saints, then we're going to see playoff Brady and that offense just go off in a 4-game stretch, and we're going to see Brady in the Super Bowl. In the AFC side, I think it's going to be the Chiefs. Even though the Chiefs have had a lot of close games, even if you go back and watch those games, they were never going to lose. these games, because their offense is so good, they're never out of the game. We saw it with the Houston Texans in the playoffs last season. Like, even when you get 3 interceptions like the Dolphins did against the Chiefs, they still win the game. Their offense is just so good that they can drive 80 yards in 2 minutes and score. And so I think that the Chiefs are the very clear favorite, even though they've kind of struggled in terms of where their offensive production is usually over the last couple of months. But I do think that if the Chiefs don't win, it's going to be the Bills or the Ravens. Just joined the stream on the treadmill at Planet Fitness. Well, that is hilarious. Hit that like button if you're watching live at Planet Fitness, man. Antonio Brown or Cooper Kupp? I would go with Antonio Brown over Cooper Kupp this week, just because of the quarterback situation for the Los Angeles Rams. If Saints and Bucks face off, who wins? Yeah, I think that'll be a really, really exciting game, and I won't be surprised if the Bucks end up winning that one. The game I really want to see happen again, though, is the Bucks versus the Packers, because Aaron Rodgers struggled big time in that game. It was by far his worst game of the season. He looked completely flustered that entire game. There was talks about just how bad that Packers team was after that game. Like, there was a lot of hate for the Packers after that game. The Bucks defense dominated Aaron Rodgers. Like, they were living rent-free in his head that whole game. I would love to see that matchup again. Do you think the Bears have a chance of making it anywhere? No, I don't. I don't think Mitch Trubisky is good enough to go anywhere. Maybe they can have one amazing upset, but even then, I wouldn't be betting on them. What's your favorite? Who's your favorite for Defensive Player of the Year? I think it has to be. I feel like it has to be the Dolphins cornerback to win it. I mean, he had so many picks this season. Rodgers doesn't handle pressure well. Yeah, I mean, he didn't in that game. I think he can handle pressure well, though. I feel like that's kind of this idea that's actually not that true, that Rodgers can't handle pressure. Do the Seahawks cover -3.5? Yeah, they probably will. But again, that game could very easily go either way. It depends what type of Seattle Seahawks team we see. Are they going to be the Seahawks offense that puts the ball in Russell Wilson's hands, which they really haven't been doing that enough over the last 2 months. The ball's been in Russell Wilson's hands less and less and less as the season has gone on. It's a horrible strategy by the Seattle Seahawks, who have a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. And 2 very, very good wide receivers, but they refuse to embrace that, and that's not going to go well. Score prediction for the Bills game. Yeah, I think the Bills are going to go over 30 points, and if they do go over 30 points, it's going to be tough for the Colts to keep up. I think my final score prediction is going to be something like 35 to 24. Free player prop. Yeah, guys, we're 12 likes away on our YouTube live stream from giving away that free player prop pick, and I'm very excited about this one. And so you got to hit that like button if you're watching live on YouTube. And if you're watching live on TikTok, you got to come over to the YouTube stream, hit that like button, and we're only 10 likes away now, so we're almost at that free player prop pick time. With 5,800 remaining for the flex, top option is either Cole Beasley, Ronald Jones, or Hilton. Where's their sleeper to fill in at flex? Yeah, we got to wait and see, Joe, if Cole Beasley is playing, which should come out. If it hasn't come out already, it actually should have came out already. I haven't refreshed Twitter. It looks like he is playing. Stephon Diggs and Cole Beasley both officially active today for the Colts, coming from Adam Schefter himself. So, yeah, I think you got to go Cole Beasley there. There's no free pick in the app today. No, there's no free pick in the app today because this is playoff time, and we're trying to give as much value to our premium subscribers as possible. And, guys, if you're trying to help me out in reaching my dream of doing this full time, you got to go subscribe in the WalterPicks app, because that is what's bringing me, every single premium subscriber is really what's bringing me one step closer to being able to do this full time. So I do appreciate the premium subscribers in the WalterPicks app, but we will be giving away a free player prop pick on this live stream 7 likes from now. We're only 7 likes away on this YouTube live stream, so hit that like button. Who do you like, Colts +7 or Bills -7? I like the Bills -7 more than the Colts +7. I don't think you can bet against the Bills in this game with how good their offense has been. The best chance for the Colts to win this game is for them to slow the game down on offense by running the ball with Jonathan Taylor, while also trying to force the Bills into running, teasing them with the defensive schemes that they're showing into running the ball. We need the Android version. Yeah, it's coming to Android by the start of next season, I promise. Score prediction, Seahawks versus Rams. Yeah, that game's to me probably the most unpredictable game today, because again, we don't know what Seahawks team we're going to see. But if I had to guess a score in that game, I would probably take the Seahawks to score like 24 points and the Rams to score around 21. Who do you think is going to win the Seahawks game? I think the Seahawks will win, but it won't shock me at all if the Rams. I think the Rams are the most likely upset team of the day. Oh, dude, Andy Isabella was a huge L last week. We still love Sam Walter. Dude, the Andy Isabella, there was no Larry Fitzgerald, there was no Christian Kirk, and Andy Isabella didn't even play. Like, he was barely on the field. And the Andy Isabella, RIP, man, rest in peace, because that was a really, really bad sign. Super Bowl pick. Yeah, I do. Thanks for the ship, Sam. Yeah, I got you, Kyle. We're going to go back-to-back next season, too. The Super Bowl pick for me is the Chiefs. The Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl, in my opinion. And when they do, I'm going to be cashing in. I made a bet with a friend that the Chiefs would win at least one Super Bowl in the next 5 years. He gave me this bet. I think it was $200 if they do it, and I give him $500 if they don't. So I'm hoping to hit that in the first season. But I think the Chiefs are going to win. And if they don't win, I think from the AFC side, it's going to be the Bills or it's going to be the Ravens. On the NFC, I think the Packers are going to make it. If the Packers don't make it, I think it's going to be the Saints or it's going to be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Those are my 3 teams on each side. I'd be pretty surprised if any team that I didn't just mention makes it to the Super Bowl. What do you think the Ravens have to do to beat the Titans? I think the Ravens have to give the ball to Lamar Jackson and run the play action as much as possible. No team. We're seeing 2 of the best teams in the NFL at running play action. The Baltimore Ravens and the Tennessee Titans are the most efficient play action teams in the NFL. But the Ravens actually have a good secondary, while the Titans secondary is bottom 5 in the NFL. Their rushing defense is bottom 10. So I think that the Ravens need to run as much play action as possible and throw the ball with Lamar Jackson, who's been able to throw the ball pretty efficiently over the last month. So I think that's the formula for the Ravens to win this game. I think the Ravens are going to win. The Ravens, ESPN has them at 62%. That sounds about right to me. It's a 3-point spread. So that sounds about accurate. Guys, we're 1 like away from 100 likes on this stream. So hit that like button and we got a free player prop pick of the day. And I love to see that we're up to 100 likes. Bears cover +10. Their defense definitely makes it possible for them to cover +10. That is probably the best spread pick of the week, honestly. And there we are, over 100 likes. Let's give away that free player prop pick. I'm very excited to share this one with you. I have a lot riding on this one, and it is the one that I am most confident in today. So listen, let's talk about Jonathan Taylor for a second. Jonathan Taylor has an insane 8 touchdowns. 8 touchdowns in his last 5 games. The last week that Jonathan Taylor did not score a touchdown was week 11. The last time Jonathan Taylor did not score a touchdown was week 11. We're in week 18, everybody, of the NFL season. He's coming off his best game of his career, where he just stampeded the Jacksonville Jaguars for 254 total yards and 2 touchdowns. This man went for 254 yards in a single game. He gets a great matchup with a Buffalo Bills defense that has allowed 4 rushing touchdowns in their last 3 games and ranks bottom 10 in rushing touchdowns allowed to running backs this season. The Indianapolis Colts need to run the ball to win this game. Jonathan Taylor, Walter, our artificially intelligent algorithm, which simulates each week 10,000 times, it's giving Jonathan Taylor a 62.1% chance to score a touchdown this week, making any odds at -130 or better a fantastic value. The Colts implied team total today, guys, is 21.5. Vegas is expecting them to score a little bit over 3 touchdowns. If they do score 3 touchdowns in this game, it would be shocking if Jonathan Taylor did not have at least one of those touchdowns. So I'm locking in Jonathan Taylor to score at least 1 touchdown. And if you can find it at -130 or better, which was available at every single sportsbook yesterday, at least the odds of -130, you got to go lock that one in. And Jonathan Taylor to score at least 1 touchdown, lock it in as the free prop pick of the day. And if we do get to 200 likes before 1 o'clock, I'll be gladly giving away another free prop pick that I'm feeling very good about. Let's go, JT. Yeah, Jonathan Taylor has been the second best running back in the NFL since week 11. No running back other than Jonathan Taylor is averaging more yards, other than Derrick Henry, is averaging over more yards per game. Yes, thank you. Yeah, guys, the free prop pick of the day. Lock in Jonathan Taylor over for at least 1 touchdown. You think the Bears going to get a win this Sunday? No, but they have a chance because it's the NFL playoffs and anything can happen. And the Bears defense is good enough. I'm so confused if Goff is in or out today. Yeah, we have no confirmation on whether he is in or out today. I have not seen any confirmation that that is the case. Cole Beasley, though, is active today. Mike Evans apparently is playing. We have no update on Jared Goff, though, which is frustrating. Does Walter have what? My bookie has Taylor over under 78 yards. That seems very, very reasonable. Do the Browns have a shot? Yeah, but they would have such a better shot if their COVID outbreak wasn't happening. Like they're going to be probably without two of their top three cornerbacks, which is not good against one of the most pass-heavy teams in the NFL, maybe the most pass-heavy team in the NFL, which is the Pittsburgh Steelers. So that is a concern. Sam, do you parlay your picks or take them individually? Ben, generally speaking, parlaying only makes your odds worse. And again, this is like one of those things that's fun. Parlaying is fun because it increases the amount you can win, but it also increases more the amount you're going to lose. The way that parlays work, you're decreasing your odds as you do it. You're increasing your upside, but you're also increasing the chance that you lose. So at a higher rate than you are increasing your upside. So I usually don't parlay, but I do parlay every single one of the prop picks each week just because it's fun. So, but I only put like $10 on that parlay. According to analytics, who will win, Colts or Bills? It's the Bills because the Bills have the better offense. And by the way, if we talk a little bit about analytics and how it's been implemented into the NFL over the last few years, the NFL is the professional sport that is most behind in terms of implementing analytics. And it's not that surprising when you think about NFL coaches and like how they run their teams. It's not that surprising that they've been the least willing to implement analytics. But what analytics have shown, if you look at what the analytics people are saying, they're saying that you should be throwing the ball way more than you are. And we've seen the best offenses start to do that. The Chiefs have very much implemented the analytics mentality of letting them throw the ball. You should be throwing the ball at least 2/3 of the time, essentially is what analytics says. And it also says you should be calling play action much, much more than you are. And by the way, teams this season threw the ball in play action more than any other season in NFL history. Rodrigo Blankenship over 6.5 points seems like a no-brainer to me. He's only had less than that in 3 games all year. Matt, lock that one in then. I didn't even know kicker player prop picks existed, Matt. And I'm all in on player prop picks. But yeah, I think that the logic, guys, there you go from Matthew Brooks in the YouTube comments. If you can find this prop pick, Rodrigo Blankenship, kicker for the Colts, over 6.5 points, it seems like a no-brainer. He's only had less than that in 3 games all year. He's averaging 9 points per game. So if you can find the Rodrigo Blankenship player prop, then go lock that win. Do you do NBA player props? This is a fantastic question because yes, we do NBA player props, and it's going to be released in the iOS App Store on the WalterPicks app in the next week. And we've been in the beta version running our player prop pick algorithm, and we have gone 10 out of 13 so far on our NBA prop picks. Chris Paul over last night, we went 3 for 3. Chris Paul over 7.5 assists, absolute lock. Jason Tatum over 28.5 points, absolute lock. DeAndre Ayton over 10.5 rebounds, absolute lock. All 3 of those hit last night. So yeah, we do have prop picks coming in the NBA, in the iOS App Store very, very soon. DraftKings lineup rundown. Yeah, you got to be stacking, guys. You want as many players as possible in the Ravens and Titans game. That game to me is by far the most intrigued to be a super high scoring game. So I do like that game a lot. Lamar Jackson is the best quarterback on the slate this week. Stack him with Mark Andrews, who is in his own tier at tight end this week. I definitely think he's worth paying up for. And against that stack, I think you on the Titans side of the ball, I love A.J. Brown. I think Derrick Henry obviously is the safest running back on the slate if you can afford him. I have this strange feeling that the football team is going to get Brady flustered and get a W. Yeah, that's always a possibility with a top 5 defense. Is there a free player prop for Sunday for today's game? Yes, man. Since we hit 100 likes on this live stream, we do have a free player prop pick, and it is Jonathan Taylor to score at least 1 touchdown. He's done it 8 times in his last 5 games, and he's up against a Bills defense that's allowed this to happen in 3 out of their last 4 games. They're a bottom 10 defense in terms of allowing touchdowns to running backs, and Jonathan Taylor realistically is the best possible chance for the Indianapolis Colts to stick in this game. Alvin Kamara playing? Yes, he is going to be playing. J.K. Dobbins or Jonathan Taylor. Both should do very well. I'd lean towards Jonathan Taylor. What if I don't have that player prop pick, Griffin? Then you got to go get a better sports book, man. You can't bet on touchdowns. It's terrible. Thoughts on Colts passing game? I do think that the Colts passing game is going to most likely, and I've been saying really since the start of the stream, I think the best chance for the Colts to win this game is for them to grind the clock with Jonathan Taylor and then try to entice the Buffalo Bills to run the ball. But they're going to have to throw the ball realistically if they want to win this game. And Phillip Rivers has actually done better than I think the general public realizes over the last 2 months. He's actually been pretty consistent, and I'm interested to see how they can do against this Buffalo Bills secondary. I think that they could end up struggling, but it's probably going to be the make or break factor for them. Personally, I'd lean towards the Colts passing attack struggling than succeeding today. Do you bet on over or unders? No. I would much rather bet on games than over unders because the over under lines are set so accurately that there's just no chance you are accurately beating consistently over under bets. Like, it's one of the worst bets you can possibly make. And anyone that's selling you advice on over unders is most likely just scamming you. The betting on spreads is almost as hard, but I think it's a little bit better. So I would lean towards the spreads over the over unders. Yeah, the spreads are a little bit more fun too. And I also hate betting on unders. Like, I think life's too short to bet on unders. So I like the over. I like the spreads more than the over unders. Yeah, I guess teasers make sense. Do you think Logan Thomas goes over under 40.5? I think he could very easily go over 40.5 as probably the number 1 or 2 option in that passing attack. He's probably going to be behind Terry McLaurin and likely J.D. McKissick in targets, but if they get behind, he's going to be very much involved. Doing a playoff challenge. This week I did Lamar, Kamara, and Diggs. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Who should I take, Kamara or David Montgomery? Kamara, definitely. Big Cat's quote, life's too short to bet the under. Yeah, I mean, that's 100. I didn't know that was his quote, but yeah, I definitely heard that at some point, and I was like, yeah, that's 100% true. I mean, it's way more fun rooting for things to go over than for things to go under. So yeah, I agree. Life's too short to bet on the under. Yeah, Antonio Gibson is back, but J.D. McKissick has been involved all season. The player prop pick today, the free player prop pick, since we passed 100 likes on this YouTube stream, is Jonathan Taylor to score at least 1 touchdown. He's done it 8 times in his last 5 games. You're seeing minus 130 odds or better. Let's see if that line has changed. I imagine it was going to change when I bet on it yesterday. But let's see what my book is saying here. Jonathan Taylor. Yeah, now I'm seeing it at minus 170. So it's definitely moved a lot. But Jonathan Taylor's 62.5% chance to score a touchdown today. Their implied team total is 21.5. So if they score 3 touchdowns, the Colts, it would be shocking if Jonathan Taylor didn't have at least one of them. Would you say DFS is easier or harder than regular fantasy for regular season? Yeah, a DFS has gotten harder over the last really 3 years. 3 years ago, winning money on DFS really wasn't that hard because you weren't competing against people that were doing anything too crazy. But nowadays you're competing against like professional DFS people who are using artificial intelligence and machine learning, just like we are in our app, to identify high correlated stacked lineups, and they're playing like 200 plus lineups against you in these big tournaments. So you got to be using something like WalterPicks or some service if you want to actually try to win money on DFS. You almost need a service now. So I think it's harder now, but it's definitely doable. And I think that people who have used the WalterPicks app this season did win money on DFS. I've won money on DFS this season, but I also don't play in the big tournaments. I play maximum in tournaments that you can only put in 20 lineups. Should I buy autographed Bill Belichick for 149, 1 of 1? Yeah, that sounds like a pretty cool opportunity. Big fan, miss having you as a teacher. Thanks, man. Pay the $60 and get WalterPicks. That's what I'm talking about, man. It's $60 for the whole year. And the services that do what we do, most of them charge over $60 a month. I lost my championship by 3 because of Kamara. That's brutal. Baker, good FanDuel play. Interesting FanDuel play. I would say he's an interesting one. He's definitely very good value, and I think that's shown in our app as well in the optimizer. By the way, you can see all of our projections for completely free now. If you go into our WalterPicks app on the iOS App Store and you just go into the DFS optimizer, you'll be able to use the optimizer for completely free right up until you hit that optimize button. So you can see all of our projections 100% free now in the WalterPicks app. Dobbins or Kamara or Taylor. I would lean towards Kamara over those two guys. But I think if you're not going with Alvin Kamara, I would rank those three guys as Kamara, Taylor, Dobbins, but all three of those guys have a really good chance of blowing up. Who you like as a tight end today? Tight end that I like this weekend the most is Mark Andrews. But if we're talking just today, in the 3 games today, I think that Logan Thomas is probably my favorite tight end. It's either Logan Thomas or it is Rob Gronkowski. I think those are the 2 best tight ends today. Lockett or Metcalf? I like Lockett a little bit more than Metcalf. Given the matchups this weekend in their game, I think I would lean towards Lockett. With what we've seen Ramsey be able to do against DK Metcalf. They played a bunch this season. I think we've seen them play each other twice now, and it hasn't gone very well for DK Metcalf both times. Thoughts on Bears and Saints game? I think Bears have intriguing upside. I like them as a plus. I like them if you're getting 10 points. I feel like 10.5 points is too much. But the reason they're such a big underdog is the sports books do not have any faith in the Bears offense. Do you think Bills can go the distance? Yeah, I do think the Bills can go the distance. Is the Nickelodeon thing today? Yes, I think it is. That sounds so fun. I want to watch it on Nickelodeon. Thoughts on the Washington game tonight? I think that's going to be one of the most exciting games. I think that there's 2 outcomes of that game. I think that either the Bucs beat them by over 20 points or the Washington football team squeaks out a win. I don't really see any in between there. So I do like that game as a really exciting game. I hope that the Washington football defense can make it interesting. And what a good story it would be for Taylor Heineke to win a playoff game against Tom Brady. That'd be insane. John Brown for a stack with Allen and Diggs. Yes. John Brown is one of the best upside value plays of the entire week on DraftKings and FanDuel. If you're going against professional DFS people today, I can almost guarantee you John Brown's going to be in their lineup because the upside at that price is unparalleled in a stack with only in a slate with only 6 games. So yeah, I do like John Brown a lot. Are you picking Browns? I would be picking the Browns if they were if they were a team at full health, but the Browns have been through absolute chaos. They've been through absolute chaos the last couple of weeks. They've practiced once in the last 2 weeks. They're going to probably be without 2 of their top 3 cornerbacks. And against one of the most pass-heavy teams in the NFL, I don't love that. I don't love the situation for the Browns as much as I did before. Favorite baseball player? I'm not a big baseball fan. All time, though, it's David Ortiz. Let's make some money. Yeah, Jonathan Taylor, at least 1 touchdown, lock that one in. Do you think Chase Young can get to Brady? Yeah, I do think he's going to get to Brady. I won't be surprised at all when Chase Young gets to Brady. What does Dallas need to do to win a Super Bowl? They need to get Dak healthy, and then they need to get some semblance of a defense, and then they can do it. But they really, really messed up paying Ezekiel Elliott when they had Godwin. I mean, not Godwin, Pollard, who's just as efficient. Your class was my favorite. I'm sorry for always getting in trouble. I say, Yossi, no problem, man. It's okay. I miss you as well. Godwin or Evans? I would lean towards Godwin, but both of them can definitely do very well this week. You have no knowledge of football. Dylan, thanks, man. I really appreciate your input. Where do you think Deshaun is going? I don't think he's going anywhere. For the free player prop pick of the week, yes, the free player prop pick of the week is Jonathan Taylor to score at least 1 touchdown. You're my favorite fantasy football analysis on TikTok. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Allen or Brady? I would probably lean towards Allen. Over under 13 receiving yards for Gibson. Opinions. Yeah, I do like that one, but I think some books have it at 10, so you're kind of getting screwed with that line. Watson is definitely leaving, I think. He seems really upset. Yeah, he has every reason to be upset. Deshaun Watson should be upset. They traded DeAndre Hopkins for a 30-year-old running back with injury issues and a second-round pick. DeAndre Hopkins, top 3 wide receiver in the NFL. Then they go and hire a general manager. They tell him he's going to be a part of the process. He's not a part of the process. He finds out on Twitter that they signed a general manager. So, I mean, brutal. Absolutely brutal that Deshaun Watson hasn't been involved. They've handled the situation terribly, but he has very little leverage. They just signed him to a contract extension, and eventually I think it's going to come to the point where he's going to have to just suck it up and play, which stinks for him because I think he should have more leverage. But if they trade Deshaun Watson, they're almost always automatically losing that trade. I would love to see him somewhere else, but I just don't think it's going to happen. What are your plans for the NBA season in terms of WalterPicks? Liam, we're launching an NBA DFS optimizer and NBA player prop picks in the next 7 days. Yeah, I mean, the Houston Texans organization is horrible. Knox or Higbee? I would lean towards Higbee over Knox. Opinion on Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown's coming off his best game of the season. He really did step up for the Bucs when Mike Evans went down last week. So I do like Antonio Brown as a guy who could continue a hot streak heading into the season, into the playoffs. Favorite NBA team? Yeah, I'm a Celtics fan. Jack Easterby, a Christian pastor, took control of the team, and that's kind of crazy. Yeah, it is kind of crazy. Do you think Deshaun is going to get traded? I don't think he's going to get traded. I want him to get traded. I don't think he's going to get traded because you're doing your team a disservice if you're trading he's a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. So you need to give up a ton for a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. What are some upcoming videos for the YouTube? Yeah, we're going to be talking a lot about fantasy football in the offseason. Going to be a lot of NFL draft content on there as well. We're also going to be posting some stuff heading up to Super Bowl weekend. Some of the props on the Super Bowl are always a ton of fun. There's always some insane props. We'll be posting a YouTube video about that as well, I think. Thoughts on Justin Herbert next year? Yeah, I mean, he can't have a worse coach than he had this season. So I do like Justin Herbert to do pretty well. Do you like Bucs -8.5? I don't like the Bucs -8.5, but I do think that there's 2 outcomes of this game. I think they're either going to cover that spread by a lot, or they're going to get upset by the Washington football team defense. So I think either way, the spread there is pretty accurate. I have Brady over 2.5 passing TDs at +145. Good value. That is pretty good value, man. I don't mind it. But again, they're up against a top 3 passing defense in the NFL. What was Taylor's prop? Over at least one touchdown, which is as of yesterday, that was at -130 in most spots. My 2 to 4 round draft picks all got hurt. Saquon, OBJ, Dak Prescott. Yeah, that's brutal. There's a ton of injuries this season. It's going to lead to some great fantasy value picks next season. Yeah, I don't think Smith being out actually affects that much. He hasn't been that good this season. He really has been just okay. And I don't think Taylor Heinicke is going to be anything worse than what Alex Smith already was. Maybe even Heinicke's willing to take a few more throws down the field than Alex Smith was willing to do. Alex Smith really does not push the ball. He really his whole career has refused to push the ball down the field. And that's not what you want when you're an underdog. When you're an underdog in a football game, you want to increase the variance of the game by taking deep shots and by limiting the number of plays for the other team. I got CMC, CH, and Drake. Nice. My 2nd and 3rd round picks were Galladay and Bell. Yeah, that wasn't very good for you. Bell was he was on our do not draft list. Our do not draft list was on point this season, by the way. We told everyone, do not draft Le'Veon Bell, do not draft Leonard Fournette. Both those were 2 complete landmines in fantasy football drafts. Todd Gurley as well. Gronk or John Brown? Definitely John Brown. Sam, I won $250. That's what I'm talking about, Lucas. And this is what we can do playing daily fantasy football on DraftKings and on FanDuel. You lock in using the lineup optimizer in the WalterPicks app, which uses artificial intelligence to give you accurate projections, but then also uses linear programming to basically select the pool of players you like the most. You go through each position, you compare them with our projections, and you pick all your favorite players for each position. Then you hit optimize. That's where the linear programming comes in, and it combines the best possible lineup with all those players you selected into just the 5 best lineups. That's what the WalterPicks app helps you do, and that's how we've been dominating on DraftKings and on FanDuel over the last few months. What is better, FanDuel or DraftKings? I personally, Lucas, glad to hear that, man. I personally like DraftKings a little bit more. Because I think that just they're generally like their app and their website is for me easier to use. So I like theirs a little bit more, but they're really, really the same product, just different salaries. Do you have just an easy cheat sheet where I can just copy and paste versus having to use my brain? That's kind of just what you get in the app. If you go into the lineup optimizer too, you can see all of our projections. You can sort by all of those. Is Bovada a safe site to use? Yeah, I think it is. That's too bad. But hopefully more states start to legalize it so you don't have to go overseas with stuff like Bovada. AB versus Corey Davis. Yeah, I like Antonio Brown too. Should I start Antonio Brown? Yeah, I'd go Antonio Brown over Corey Davis. I agree, Ryan. You don't need to wait for next season. And actually, if you become a premium subscriber in the WalterPicks app right now for the annual subscription, you'll have access to the entire next NFL season. It's a 365-day subscription. So starting right now, all the way back to today next year. So if you go subscribe in the WalterPicks app right now, you're not only getting our entire NBA product for the whole NBA season, player props and DraftKings and FanDuel advice, but also all of our fantasy football draft advice and fantasy football advice through the entire next season. How do you think the Rams are going to do today in Seattle? I think the Rams have a very legit shot to win this game. To me, this is one of the most unpredictable games of the week, and less about the Rams. It's less about the Rams. I think we know what we're going to see from the Rams. I think we're going to see the Rams give Cam Akers the ball at least 25 times and then run play action off of that, which has been a pretty successful approach for them. I think on the Seahawks side, we're going to see either one of two things happen. We're going to see either them just try to pound the ball like they've been doing over the last 2 months, a horrible strategy when you have a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. Or we're going to see them put the ball in Russell Wilson's hands, let Russell Wilson cook. And if they let Russell Wilson cook, then they're going to win the game. If they don't let Russell Wilson cook and they limit him to under 30 passing attempts like they have been over the past month or so, then I think the Rams could very, very easily steal this game. And if the Rams win this game, to me, and Russell Wilson doesn't throw the ball at least 30 times, then all of the blame should be on the Seahawks offensive play calling. But the Seahawks defense has been good against the run and not so good against the pass. So it'll be very interesting to see how each of these offenses approach this game. Washington beat Tampa 21-17. Hot take. Yeah, that'll be. I think that either it's going to be an extremely low-scoring game and the Washington football team is going to sneak one out, or the Bucs are just going to blow them out. I have the Rams money line in a $1,000 parlay. Pray for me. That is insane. I like your hat. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. And I think that is a very, very risky parlay. Julian, I'm going to plead the fifth on that one. Best cheap players to trade for in Dynasty. Yeah, we're going to be posting some more Dynasty football content. I'm getting more and more into Dynasty fantasy football, but there's a few players that I think are pretty good bets in Dynasty right now. Personally, if I have AJ Dillon, by the way, I'm selling AJ Dillon. I think that there's a very good chance that one of Jamal Williams or Aaron Jones stays in Green Bay, and if they don't stay, they're going to bring in another running back too. So I think AJ Dillon's probably at maximum value right now. But if you're looking to buy a player, check out Rashad Penny, who was out really all year. But Chris Carson's a free agent after this season. Rashad Penny could very well end up being their leading running back. That is the last game. Yeah, me too, Matt. How do I make a dynasty league? There's probably the best place to do it is the Sleeper app. I think that's the best free place to do it. If you're looking for a paid league, then something that I use is called FFPC, Fantasy Football Champions, I think it's short for, where you can join any dynasty league. You think Carson gonna leave? It'll be interesting. I don't think it makes sense for the Seattle Seahawks to pay Chris Carson, but also not really sure what type of money he's going to be demanding. That really is what it comes down to. Is DraftKings and FanDuel purely money only? Because I've never been in a free FanDuel DraftKings league. Yeah, I think it is purely money only, from as far as I know. I won't be surprised if Carson leaves or stays, to be honest. Beasley or Landry or John Brown, I would probably rank those guys. In terms of upside, it's John Brown, and he's also the cheapest of those three on DraftKings and FanDuel, I believe. So I like John Brown's upside the most out of him, Cole Beasley, and Jarvis Landry. But if we're talking about the floor, then Cole Beasley and Jarvis Landry have a very similar floor, and it's higher than John Brown's. My biggest steal was CEH from the 10th round. Yeah, that's insane. Seems like there is some overlay on the Saturday-Sunday FanDuel slates. Yeah, I think I saw that as well. Let me pull this up, actually, because there was less people in those lobbies than I was expecting to see. At least as of like a couple of days ago, there was really not that many people. So overlay by the means, essentially the DraftKings and FanDuel sites are giving away more money than that they are getting. And so it's actually a positive ROI thing to be doing, just to have a lineup in general. It's like when it's essentially the expected value of your lineups are much, much higher when there's some overlay. Yeah, in FanDuel, tournaments are only 73% full. Some of them 41% full, 6% full on some of these. So yeah, this is a good time to be playing some DFS on FanDuel, and I imagine DraftKings is seeing something very similar, which is only good for us. Thoughts on Robert Woods? Yeah, I do think Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp, at least one of them, is going to do well against the Seahawks secondary. Gotta love robbing the books. You got to love robbing the books. And someone actually approached me recently asking if I'd be willing to kind of join the other side of the table and help Vegas set lines, because clearly we've done something here with WalterPicks. We've had 67% accuracy exploiting player prop picks. And I said, no, I kind of like my side of the table. I like beating Vegas. I think that's the more fun side of the table. And we're going to continue to do it. Knox or Higbee? I have Allen, Brown, and Diggs. I would probably go Higbee if you have all those guys. How far do you think Ravens can go? I think the Ravens can go as far as winning the Super Bowl. I honestly think that is the ceiling for them in this playoffs. That's why I bet $50 on the Ravens and on the Bucs to win the Super Bowl, because to me, both those teams have the offense and also the defense to make a legit run to win the Super Bowl. Yes, Sam, stay on the public side. Yeah, the public side is where I belong, Matt. It really is. Let's go. Yeah, Johnny. Steelers win percentage. Yeah, I think they're 6.5 point favorites. I think they got like a 70% win probability. And honestly, it's probably higher than that with all of the players that are likely going to be out for the Browns, but we still don't know exactly who's out. Wait, what is a sports book? Sports book is a website nowadays that accepts wagers on sports. They set lines like spreads and player prop line that you can bet on. That's what a sports book is. It's who you bet with. Player prop. Yeah, the free player prop pick of the day is Josh Allen to score at least one touchdown. Guys, we got about 5 minutes left. Theo, man, how's it going? I hope your recovery is going well. Antonio Brown or Cooper Kupp? I would lean towards Antonio Brown over Cooper Kupp. Dobbins, Kupp, or Terry McLaurin? I think Dobbins is probably the safest and highest upside play out of all of those guys. Wait. My biggest bust excluding injuries yet. Jimmy Graham, guys. Jimmy Graham is in a revenge game this week. Jimmy Graham against the Saints. Revenge game, but Cole Kmet really has taken over that starting role in that offense. So don't think we can be expecting very, very much out of Jimmy Graham. Do you think Julio is leaving? No, I don't think. I can't picture Julio leaving. Thoughts on Akers? Cam Akers, I think, is one of the best values of the day. I think he's going to see the ball at least 25 times. And that is nothing to gloss over. With his price on DraftKings and FanDuel, he's probably the best value per dollar, touches per dollar that you can find on DraftKings and FanDuel. So I do like Cam Akers today. Best defenses to play today. Yeah, the best defenses to play today. I mean, it's probably the Tampa Bay Buccaneers against a horrible Washington football team offense. They are easily the best defense to be playing today. I think you can make a case for the Buffalo Bills defense today as well. That won't surprise me if they do well. And I also, Seahawks D has really stepped up recently as well. I totally agree. I think the Seahawks defense, if you're going with the defense today, I would either be going with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Seahawks defense, or the Buffalo Bills defense, probably in that order. ESPN has Bucs at 73% win probability. Yeah, that sounds about right to me. Yes, there is a free player prop pick today, Anthony. It is Jonathan Taylor to score at least one touchdown. And yeah, we are seeing a little bit less overlay in the DraftKings lobbies than we are seeing in the FanDuel lobbies. There's 280,000 entries in some of these tournaments on DraftKings. A lot of people playing DFS, man. I always buy low on defenses. Yeah, defenses are relatively inconsistent. How confident are we for 80 yards rushing for Taylor? I'd say that's a pretty accurate line. Not going to surprise me at all when he goes over that. Jonathan Taylor's averaging over 100 yards per game since week 11, second most in the NFL behind Derrick Henry. Jonathan Taylor's been the second best running back in the NFL since week 11. So he's probably going to go over 80 yards. Bills over under 6.5. 6.5. Winning by 6.5 over. What do you think is going to happen to Josh Gordon next year? I think we've seen the last of Josh Gordon, unfortunately. Any DFS advice? Yeah, my favorite values on DFS, especially on DraftKings, Cam Akers and Chris Carson. My favorite value receivers, it's John Brown. I think you've got to pay up for A.J. Brown as well. I love the two Browns today. At quarterback, stack Lamar Jackson with Mark Andrews and thank me later. Do you like Taylor to get the most rushing yards on the week? Yeah, I definitely think he has a chance to get the most rushing yards on the week. I think my favorite value with that, though, is actually Cam Akers to get the most rushing yards, because I think Cam Akers could very easily see more touches than Jonathan Taylor. I don't think that's too out of the question. Are you going to do this next week? Yeah, Thomas, I'll be back the hour before football starts next week as well. You think those two running backs are really going to produce? At least one of those guys is going to produce. At least one of Cam Akers or Chris Carson is going to produce. And I think that both of them probably will. And in terms of touches per dollar, they are the two best running backs on the DFS slate. Josh Allen wasn't alive last time the Bills won a playoff game. Yeah, that is insane. I'm going to say that again. Josh Allen was not alive. He was not a human being living yet. The last time the Buffalo Bills won a playoff game. Are you rooting for any teams in the playoffs? Yes, I am rooting for some teams in the playoffs. I'm basically rooting with where my money is on. And my money right now is on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Baltimore Ravens to make a sleeper run to win the Super Bowl. So I'm rooting for both those teams. And I'm also rooting for the Kansas City Chiefs because I made a 5-year bet with one of my close friends that they would win a Super Bowl at least once in the next 5 years. I gave him pretty good odds on it too. So I'm rooting for the Chiefs to lock that up for me in the first season of that bet. You think I got to go John Brown over Landry? Yeah, if you're going in a tournament, if you're playing in a tournament, you absolutely need John Brown in your lineup. Like the tournaments are all about upside. And whether you come like in tournaments, you want a chance at the top prizes. The prize pools are super top heavy, and John Brown gives you that chance. So yeah, I think if you're playing in a tournament, John Brown over Jarvis Landry. Also, don't forget about your preseason Browns future. Yes, I know. I haven't forgot about that one, Matt, but I'm not feeling good about it. And in fact, Matt, the odds that I got preseason are like the same odds you can get now. So that was looking back. And again, I knew that was not a good profitable bet, but it was a fun one. But they are in the playoffs, so that's good. And I think if they win the AFC, then I'll at least double my money there. But we'll see. We'll see if the Browns can take an upset. Do you like Diggs over 19 fantasy points? Yeah. The playoff DFS things you posted on TikTok, where do I find that? Is that a DraftKings thing? No, it's on NFL. It's on NFL.com, NFL Playoff Challenge. It's always a fun one. And then if you're doing the NFL Playoff Challenge, I love the NFL Playoff Challenge. I've done it, I think, 3 or 4 years in a row now. If you're doing the NFL Playoff Challenge, then you got to, like, the optimal strategy there is to only have players from 2 teams, one in the NFC, one in the AFC, because you're getting a multiplier every single week that player plays again. And you really only have a chance to win if all of your players are playing the Super Bowl. Yeah, it is a fun one. I agree. The Texans weren't a team that the Texans were not a team the last time the Bills won a playoff game. Yeah, which one is better? The Texans not being a team the last time the Bills won a playoff game, or Josh Allen literally not being alive the last time the Bills won a playoff game? And I think that's going to change today in the next 4 hours. And guys, if you're watching live, what's up with the Saints cap situation? What's up with it is they've mismanaged their cap situation so horribly. They really went all in on Drew Brees' last season. What they thought was going to be Drew Brees' last season, it's going to set them back years. That's what's going on with their cap situation. They are in a horrible situation. They need to make a run for it to be worth it. And guys, if you're watching live on TikTok, I always wrap up my live streams just on YouTube. I do that because it's a little easier to handle the comments on there. So I'll be logging off of TikTok, but if you want to enjoy the live stream for the next 5 minutes, I'll be answering as many questions as I can over on YouTube. If you don't follow along, guys, enjoy your Saturday, enjoy some football on Saturday, and lock in Jonathan Taylor for at least 1 touchdown. Have a good one, guys. And we are live just on YouTube. My favorite part of the stream. Will you be streaming the divisional round? Yes, I will. The Saints are projected to be 100 million in debt. I don't know if that's the exact number, but it sounds about right. Godwin or Terry? I would lean towards Godwin over Terry just with the quarterback situation for the Washington football team. Robert Woods or Carson at flex? I like Carson more than Robert Woods. I think Chris Carson is one of the best values and really the most underrated players that's going to be on a football field today. Hit up that second prop. Mark wants the second prop. Lock in Jonathan Taylor over. He's scoring at least 1 touchdown. And we didn't hit 200 likes, so there will be no second prop. 5,000 DraftKings play. Thomas, Connor, Sanders. I want nothing to do with James Conner. I think Sanders is probably the best play there. David Montgomery or Chris Carson today. I like Chris Carson more than David Montgomery. Yeah, that's exactly right, Matt. They could let all of their expiring contracts walk, and they'd still be over the cap. Like, they basically are only going to be able to get minimum contract players unless they are able to like, they're in such a brutal situation. Prediction for Michael Thomas. I think Michael Thomas is going to do very, very well. I think he's going to do very well. I think he's going to bounce back, and he's going to go over. I think they set that line at 70, which is actually like a pretty perfect line for them to set that at. I'm not going to be surprised at all if he goes over 70 yards. Our algorithm did not identify that one, but I do think he has a chance to do that. Hot take, the Saints will be 0-16 next season. Yeah, someone posted a TikTok video about that too. I don't think they'll go 0-16, but they definitely are in a bad situation. Tannehill over 240 yards. Yeah, that one's probably going to hit. Stack Davis and A.J. Brown. I do think that's a fine stack, and I think that's a good stack against Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews. Is Goff or Wofford playing? That's not been confirmed yet. The last we've heard is that he's questionable. We won't know until I think 90 minutes before the game at this point, because there's been no report about that. So that's probably going to come out sometime during the Bills game. Thoughts on David Montgomery and Jonathan Taylor? David Montgomery, guys, if we look at who's leading the NFL in rushing yards per game since week 11, it's Derrick Henry, then it's Jonathan Taylor, then it's David Montgomery. And that's how good David Montgomery has been. But I do think that David Montgomery could struggle against a very good Saints run defense this week. And the whole Bears team is probably going to struggle because they're not going to be able to run the ball as effectively. I think Chris Carson is more upset than David Montgomery this weekend. Taylor or Kamara? Sorry, caps lock is broken. I would lean towards Kamara over Taylor. I think Watson will go to the Patriots. Yeah, I would love for that to happen. I'm a big Pats fan. And if we get Deshaun Watson, very, very, very possible that they are Super Bowl contenders. I think Deshaun Watson's a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, but because he's a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, I think that even though he's very frustrated with the team, I think the Houston Texans have every reason not to trade him. Have you ever used Walter to arbitrage bet? B-Money, I have not successfully yet gotten down the arbitrage, which I think is doable with player props, but I think it's harder than it seems. But I'm still working on it. You basically have to know. It seems like it should be doable because we do see a ton of line movement with the bets we identify, though. Are you from MA? I'm from here too. Yeah, I am I'm in East Boston, live in East Boston. T.Y. Hilton is a great flex. Yeah, I think T.Y. Hilton, if the Colts have a chance in this game, I think T.Y. Hilton's going to have to perform well. Got time for a couple more questions, guys. What's the prop for the day? Good question. It's Jonathan Taylor to score at least 1 touchdown. You helped me win the championship in my fantasy league. That's what I'm talking about, man. South Shore. Nice. Yeah, that's a good area. Guys, that is my time. Have a great time watching football today. Enjoy. Appreciate the football on our television screens because it's not going to be so long until the NFL season is over. Yeah, I do need a new banner. B-Money, I agree. We got to work on that. I'm from Brookline. Nice. Should I play J.K. Dobbins over Chris Carson then as my flex? Put T.Y. Hilton. Yeah, I do like that, actually. Have a good one, Ryan. Let's make some money, guys. Let's go, Jonathan Taylor. I think the Bills are going to win this game, but I do think Jonathan Taylor is going to score a touchdown. Have a fantastic day, guys. I'll be back live next week, 1 hour before those games, potentially a little bit tomorrow to talk about the results from today and looking ahead at tomorrow's games. Have a good one, guys.